Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Chris Zart, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Okay, well, we're back. Episode 20.
Episode 20.
We have a very special guest. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Natalie Hojnacki.
Yes. I know, it still sounds weird.
Isn't that so crazy?
Yeah, I catch myself a lot, like being like, my last name is Hojnacki. It's Hojnacki now, so.
And I've known you 10 years professionally, like DJing. But we've been in the same circle of like group of friends. We went to the same high school, graduated about the same time. So we know all the same people, grew up in Portage, same area. And you even married my neighbor, which is crazy.
So crazy. Someone that I also knew in high school that I met back up with later in life. So
that's awesome.
It's funny how things come full circle.
Really is. Well, congratulations. I know you got married just last year, right? And
yes, yeah.
That's awesome.
A year and a half now, so yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, of course, I'm sure you do, but Natalie is, I don't know what the official title is, but
I am our sales manager now, as well as coordinator at the Allure on the Lake.
Yes.
A title that I came back to last August. Actually, I believe my 1 year anniversary back was just a few days ago. But I was previously there for almost a decade.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I've done a couple weddings here and there.
Done this once or twice. Yeah.
Right. I was going to say the first wedding I ever worked was at the LaPorte location of the Allure with you. So
that's right.
Yeah, and that was like 8 years ago at this point.
That's insane.
It's crazy how many couples I've gotten married. And when I first started dating my husband, I would run into them, like when we'd be out for dinner and everything. And he'd be like, "How do you know them?" And I'm like, "I got them married." And he's like, How many people have you gotten married? And I'm like, "You don't want to know."
So many.
So many. So many.
So many amazing, incredible couples.
Yes.
And so there's two locations. It's going down to one.
I think
maybe
so. Yeah.
Are you guys still doing weddings out there?
We still are doing weddings this season. We still have a few on the calendar. But our main focus, I think, has shifted to our Chesterton location. And my boss, Troy, he has so many other things that he is dabbling into that it just kind of is time, I think, to just go down to one location maybe. Or maybe, pop a new one up.
Oh,
we'll
okay. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. And so, you guys do mostly weddings, but you do other events as well there in Chesterton?
Yes. I would say that 99.9% of what we do are weddings. And then very seldomly we'll have, like 2 weekends ago, we actually had a baby shower for a couple who was supposed to get married at the Allure on the Lake in 2020.
Oh, my goodness.
And obviously with the fire. And then I think even with COVID, they ended up having to postpone their wedding, I think, like 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
But they're getting ready to have a baby.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was great to have them in the venue. And I had actually gotten her brother married in our LaPorte location several years ago. So it was a repeat family, which is what I love that. I love when, like, you get to work with, like, the sister or the brother or cousin or the best friend, and you get to see those couples that you got married a couple years back.
Especially for us, because if the dance floor was good, then we know it's going to be good again.
We already know what they like.
Same people are coming. And
we've had a couple weddings recently where future brides of ours are guests at, or they're in the wedding, and they'll be like these crazy, wild, fun weddings, and we're like, "Oh, they're going to have a good wedding then next year." Like, this is exciting. So makes us look forward to them a little bit more.
So when I work with someone I know, like, I get really excited, but I also get really nervous because I really want to do a good job. Do you feel like that's kind of a similar thing?
Oh my gosh. So this had to have been like 2015 to 2017 was like that couple years span where I feel like everyone that we went to high school with that didn't get married like super early was starting to get married. And I probably did, I don't know, like a dozen girls that I had grown up with weddings. And there was like this increased amount of pressure because I was like, they have to be extra perfect because I know them and I've known some of them for, decades. So yes, it kind of amplifies the pressure a little bit.
I love that. It's like extra perfect.
Yes.
Like, it's like, of course it's going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're in the weddings, it's going to be perfect, but now it's going to be extra perfect.
It's going to be extra perfect. Like, not only do you know the bride and the groom possibly, you also know their family. And that sometimes can get you into a little bit of trouble because they think that then you'll do them favors.
Yes.
Like they'll play my song, or can you just keep the bar open for like an extra half an hour or so? Like, we know each other, and it's like,
Just give us free stuff.
that's not how that works.
This doesn't work for you. This is just extra fun for us for free, please. Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. You've worn a lot of hats at the Allure. You've done some sales, some management, I assume you've trained some people. Yeah. Clean up, all the stuff, everything with running a venue. And then the day of, you guys, not all venues do this. Some venues like, here's our space, do what you will. That's not the Allure.
No.
At the Allure, you guys do, how would you describe it?
We are essentially, we're day of coordinators. So you don't have to hire anyone. So you're saving quite a bit of money. They're pretty expensive. I am making sure that the ACs are on in the bridal suite. I'm making sure everything's working in the venue in the morning and making sure the cleaning crew came in and physically cleaned. And then we begin the setup. So like, if you're the Saturday couple, you have to wait for Friday to be done. Wow. And then we're doing all of Saturday setup. And then, a lot of couples are DIY, so they're bringing in their own decor. We're setting all that up for them.
Oh, my goodness. So you're decorating for them in addition to...
Because it's just easier for us, and we like to do it. And that way then our bride and her mom and aunts and whomever, they can be focusing on getting ready and not having to worry about where should we put this tiny picture or this linen here. We'll take care of all that. So we do all of that in the morning. On top of that, on Saturdays especially, like I'll have 3 to 5 new tours while we're setting things up.
Working while you're working.
Uh-huh. And it's just myself and Renee, who are the ladies in the office, the ladies behind,
And then the ladies the day of, like.
Yes. So it's not like I just actually had a bride this weekend, and she handed me this amazing like Rolodex of how she wanted everything set up, like pictures. It was line by line. You couldn't mess it up. And she's like, I made extra copies for your setup crew. I was like,
only we had one.
It's me. Just me today. And Renee came in for like an hour or so. But no, I think a lot of our brides even think that we have this arsenal of people that is behind us. Sometimes they'll call us and they'll be like, I just emailed my wedding's ex date this, and I go, hi, yeah, I emailed you back just now too. I know, yep. The only thing that we don't handle is like our accounting, but everything else is us.
Man.
Yeah.
So it's literally, I would call it like turnkey, where you book a venue and they're, and maybe that's not the right term, but, it's like when you buy an apartment or a house and there's like furniture, it's already furnished.
Yes, you bring in a couple little pieces to make it yours, but everything, the main things are there.
Yeah, you get to select the colors of napkin or whatever, and you can pick out how you want to set things up, how many tables.
But everything else, like we're taking care of. You guys know it. We serve dinner with our staff to expedite it because we like to have things happen very quickly.
Yeah. You do ceremony on site?
We do ceremony on site. So Thursdays are ceremony rehearsal days. So we're orchestrating their entire rehearsal for them, making sure that we have the lineup right. And then right before ceremony, we're grabbing all the bridal party, those straggler groomsmen that are out in the parking lot. We're getting them away from whatever's in their car, pulling them in. I have had to put bride shoes on before the ceremony, and getting everyone lined up, and then, working with the DJs on cueing music, cueing the bridal party. I fix my bride's dresses right before they walk down the aisle. I joke when I do sales tours, I've even had to sign some marriage license.
That's the witness.
I'm actually secretly ordained just in
my goodness.
case
That's a good idea.
anyone does not show up. I never want to do a ceremony.
There's always gonna be a wedding.
That's my biggest fear is they're not going to show up and they're going to be like, who's going to marry us? And I'm like, oh no, it's going to have to be me.
These are the stress dreams you probably get.
Yes. Yeah. But I have had officiants who are maybe friends of the family and they forget to sign it at the end of the night, or they're too intoxicated. And I am filling everything out for them. So we take care of everything. I bustle brides' dresses all the time. I'd rather do it than have the bridesmaids do it because they just...
You do it all the time. You understand
I do it all the time.
The best way to do it.
So I know how to do it very quickly, and we're not fussing over everything or putting things in correctly where they need to not go. So yeah, we do it all.
Man, that's incredible. We have so much appreciation and respect for what you guys do, because it's... I can't imagine as a DJ if somebody's like, yeah, can you set up our flowers and can you help me bustle the dress and can you contact all of our vendors to make sure their arrival times and that everyone's got syncing up all the schedules for everybody.
We already do more than we probably should, I think.
And we're doing all we can handle.
Yeah.
There's more.
I love when I get our vendors for a bride and they have you guys and I'm like, everything's gonna be fine. I don't have to worry about a DJ who's not going to show up when he's supposed to, or not know that they have ceremony music, or try to ransack the agenda and do everything his own way because he thinks it's better, doesn't understand the flow of a wedding.
This is not common sense with other DJs, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
Or somebody who doesn't DJ weddings for a living. They're a
club DJ or a mixed artist, something,
They're
producer.
Family friend. So, yeah, when it's you guys, I'm like, all right, one less thing I have to worry about.
Same for us. I feel like, especially when it comes to timeline structure, you guys structure your timelines exactly how we want them to go. Because we have time to eat. It's we can get everything done with ahead of time. Everything we've talked about on previous episodes of how we want the day to go, you always
even layout
structure it that way.
You have a centric dance floor. We are right on the dance floor.
Not near any tables.
Nobody's in front of our speakers.
As you guys should be, because you need to know what's going on the dance floor.
Yeah. If
you're way in the back, how do you know what's going on?
Nobody can hear anything. Nobody can see anything.
And then lay out the room. I'm going to sound biased. So I got married there, October last year.
Yeah.
When we got there to set up and decorate or whatever, compared to a lot of venues I've been at, I feel like even if we didn't really do anything, the room just looks so nice.
Absolutely.
There's really not much you have to do. It just looks very clean. The setup and everything looks really nice in there, especially all the natural light coming in.
Yes.
It's
and
awesome.
you got married in October, which
it was gorgeous.
October. But it is one of the most, I think, best months, especially late October. And I think you were late October.
Oh, I worked there 4 times right before I got married there. I was there every week. Yeah.
And it's so nice because the sun has set at the perfect time in that late fall, early winter. So you get that nice sunlight for cocktail hour. But then when it's dancing time, it sets a different mood. It sets a different tone.
Weather's nice and cool, so you can wear a suit and not be too hot.
Yes. Yeah. That's why everyone loves October.
Heck yeah. So obviously you've worn a lot of hats.
I have.
What are some things that you love about some of those things that you've done? What you do?
I love that I have worn so many hats because I have a respect for every position that goes into making a wedding day what it is supposed to be. I also just enjoy being able to know that I can jump in when we have call-offs, that type of thing. And you understand and appreciate every moving part of the venue when you've done every little thing to help it run. So, I started at the Allure in LaPorte as just a bartender. I needed a little side gig back in 2011. And I worked my way up. I started like setting things up for them. And then one of their coordinators left, and it was just like an easy transitional point. They were like, you've had all this hospitality. I came from the restaurant world and managed restaurants before going into weddings. And so it was kind of an easy transition. I love people. I love the relationships I build with our brides. It was something that when I left for a couple years, I really missed building that connection with them.
Yeah, they really become like family. I mean, you get really close.
They do become family. And then you like dive really deep into their families the day of the wedding, and you're like, oh, I didn't needed to let me know some of these important things. Maybe.
People are politics. You know, there's always going to be an angle or a thing that you're going to have to kind of navigate and smooth over and really refocus about we're celebrating, we're partying, we're.
I tell a lot of our brides, because they will tell us a lot of personal things about their families because they're worried on their wedding day. And I'm like, I promise you, 9 times out of 10, when people put fancy clothes on, they do act a lot better behaved than you think they're going to. I think I've probably have done about 700 plus weddings in my career.
Wow.
And I can count on one hand the times where there's been like a family issue or someone has caused a scene at a wedding. And I think that's a really good ratio to the times that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
so,
it's rare, but you remember
rare.
it when it happens because it is rare.
I remember him. Yes.
You guys were one of the first planners that when the couple booked us, the planner was like, that they were like, yeah, Natalie, she's like, she raves about you, but she thought you'd be a really good fit for our taste and our style. And I was like, my mind was blown because as a DJ, I never really considered that because I have a taste and style. As much as I really try to reflect the values of the couple, there are music genres that I know better than others. And I really felt like that you guys really tried to set us up with the best couples that best fit what we could deliver. Because you get to see DJs every weekend, multiple DJs, the good, the bad, the ugly. And we're fortunate enough and blessed to be able to work with you guys. So we all said, well, must have done something good. But it was really cool to see, oh my gosh, this is like the perfect couple. Yes, I know that artist. Yes, those songs. Yes, we're going to deliver exactly what you want. It was a very unique thing, but the more I thought about it, I was like, that's actually genius on your end to do because, you know, you're hosting these people in your house. And you're like, how can I best recommend a DJ? There's lots of great DJs. How can I recommend a DJ that's going to best align with what your goals are as a couple?
Absolutely. Like we're very lucky that we have couples across all spectrums. You know, age is probably the hugest one. I think, you know, we have couples who get married who are 22, 23 years old. And then we are fortunate to also have couples who are in their 50s get married. And those two weddings look vastly different and also need different vendors. And so I do try to talk to couples that are, you know, willing to, you know, have those conversations with us. Like I have couples who are like, I'm not sure who I should go with for photos. And I'm like, well, what's your photo style? What do you want your wedding photos to look like? And then I try to, you know, refer people who are obviously that type of style, but just from the little personality bits that I get from our couple, also refer them to someone who I know that personally they're going to connect with, because that's a vendor they spend a lot of time with and a lot of up close time with. So they have to jive with them. And so it's important because all of those aspects also make your wedding day that much better. You know, a great DJ that can play every song is wonderful to get your dance floor, but also one that you can connect with a little bit more. That's going to make you think back on your wedding day in 10 years and be like, we really did have the best wedding because all our family and friends were on the dance floor. Our DJ was amazing. He met with us. We like laughed. Now we're friends with them. You know, it makes everything much better.
Yeah. You really are. The day of the wedding is everybody's working as a team. And so if you've got a brand new team member who you're like, I don't know what they're capable of or not, and if they have their own timeline that they haven't synced up, I mean, there's so many things that can throw a wrench in that plan.
Yes.
Which the better situation is these people work together all the time. They really know what they're doing. They know what they like at this venue. This venue knows what they, get from that DJ, and they know that DJ's style and taste down to a T, where you're going to want this specific DJ to work with because I think you're going to like that person.
Yeah, I definitely think that we've hit the nail on the head quite a few times, and then some couples go rogue on us, and I'm like, oh, that was probably not the best.
It's my cousin Vince who's DJing now. Yeah,
he brings in his CDs.
Yes, he used to DJ all the time.
All the time.
He's good.
Back in 1988.
So we talked a little bit, about the good things. What are some of the challenging things? What are some of the things that are difficult or hard?
I mean, obviously, you guys know weddings happen on the weekends.
Yeah.
And so that is sometimes hard. I'm fortunate that I've always worked on weekends, so it's not like I had a Monday through Friday job, 9 to 5, and then I went into this. I've always had those odd hours. I've always been accustomed to working long hours. And thankfully, my husband also works like a shift schedule. So he works on weekends too, a lot of times. So it's not like someone sitting at home being like, why aren't you ever home?
Where's my spouse? Our free time. Yeah.
She's getting people married. Just dealing with the stress. You guys know, things go wrong on wedding days.
Yeah.
And it's my job to fix them. And it's my job to fix them without letting maybe our bride and groom know that things have happened. So just kind of juggling all those pieces, and then also dealing with maybe like keeping people away from your bride who are stressing her out, and balancing their family dynamics. And so that's probably one of the hardest things about our job, is that we are wearing many hats.
Yeah.
And sometimes things go wrong and you have to fix them. I'll never forget, this was a long time ago. It was back when we had like a triple wedding weekend. So we had a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in October. And it was in our LaPorte location. And our dishwasher broke on Friday night. No. And our dishwashing company couldn't come out and service it. And I had to pretend like that everything was moving really great, all while I was also helping wash dishes, and then like trying to avoid hugs.
Oh no.
Because I was wearing black, so you couldn't tell, but like I was like sopping wet with like dirty dishwater. And then we had to come back the next morning and continue to wash dishes while we were setting up our Saturday wedding and doing tours.
Oh my goodness.
So it's things like that. But like our bride never knew that.
Wow.
I always joke, and this is not funny anymore given what happened. But like, I'm like, the building could be on fire and I'd never let you know, because you don't need to worry about that. I'll take care of that. So I think that's the hardest part of our job, is just balancing lots of things that do end up going wrong that I feel like our couples probably never know about.
Yeah. And that really is something. It's a benefit and a value you get as a couple when you book a professional space, when you book professional vendors, because of course they're going to help you put together a plan. That plan is going to be based on your priorities and your needs and your interests and what you want. And then things are undoubtedly going to go wrong in some way.
Yeah.
But they're going to smooth that over. They're going to fix it. They're going to do something. They're going to literally wash dishes, and you'll never know, because the idea is not that they want to lie to you, but they want you to enjoy the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I had a DJ a couple months ago, and his computer crashed during dinner.
Oh no.
And
Kristen, so many times we've had those things.
Luckily, he was local enough. So he hooked his phone up to his speakers. I don't know the correct terminology.
Yeah, you got it.
And left during dinner to go get another computer. And no one, including me, knew that he was gone. I went up to him like after dinner was served, and I was like, hey, I think they're going to put their lock on the gate and do a couple photos, and then we can start first dances. And he's like, did you even know I was gone? And I was like, where'd you go? Did you not want to eat dinner tonight? did you not want that delicious garlic Parmesan chicken? And he's like, my computer crashed. And I was like, oh. I'm like, well, then let's start first dances whenever you're ready.
But I mean, that's a professional. It's just, smooth it over, have a plan, have a backup. The show must go on kind of thing. What do you think is like one of the big misconceptions about your role, about your job?
I think that people think we sit in an office all day, which is very not the case. For instance, like today, I'm going to go in and do a couple tours and probably like help set up our Friday wedding. But Renee's been there for a couple hours, and we're setting tables up and moving things around and putting up our greenery wall and moving arches and hoops. It's a very physically demanding job. So I think a lot of people just think it's like this cushy office job where they're like sitting and typing on a computer and taking phone calls and signing contracts. And it's like, no, you're going to get dirty. You're going to have to lift things. You're going to have to do some things that on a wedding day that are not very pretty. And you have to do it all. Like something breaks, you got to fix it. So I think that's maybe the misconception, that it's a very like fluffy, pretty job. And it can be some days, but it's a lot of hard work. You're sweating.
And I'm sure you know, just from what you're saying, just working in the restaurant industry, there's a lot of similarities between like working in restaurants, working in weddings, and I'm seeing that more and more now, because like I worked in catering for a little bit, and I've worked in a few restaurants. So yeah, there's a lot of that. Like you're doing kind of everything. Yeah.
And that's why, like, when we go to hire like a new person to join our team, we love when they have restaurant experience, because I'm like, this is going to be an easy transition for you, because it's basically dealing with a crazy Saturday night just on steroids, essentially. So if you can deal with that, you can deal with the wedding, I think.
I love The Bear. You guys have seen The Bear. But season 2, he works for that like Michelin star restaurant, you know, and it's like everybody is just so attentive, and then it's like obviously very stressful, but they go the extra mile to really make it special and unique, and you really get to see that side of it, what the joy is to provide that service to those people, once in a lifetime experience. And I relate to that in the wedding industry, when I'm like, this is so stressful. It can be. It's also so rewarding, and that a lot of people will never know.
No.
And that's even more fun. It's kind of the little secret of it.
It really is.
There's times I've been like in my car after a wedding, like screaming, I'm so happy. Like just from killing a dance friend. It's like, I did that. Like, you know, it's that feeling is it's unreal.
I get that.
So great.
I get that feeling when I send a bride down the aisle. I'm the last person that talks to her before she
send her off.
I send her off, and watching her like walk down the aisle is kind of like, I guess, watching like your child go to school, like walk to that door at the very first day, because you're just like,
it's magical.
I did that, and then you're like, whew, like, all right, like we're free for a little bit, but it's so rewarding, so rewarding.
We have those moments too where I'm like, I'm really stressed about this, and once it passes, I'm good. We call it, I call it hurry up and wait. It's like, we got to get there, we got to load, and we got to set up, and then we're just chilling until the guests arrive, and then okay, now we got a ceremony. We got to make sure the mics, everything's sounding good. They're cueing us for the music. Okay, ceremony's done. Cocktail hour, you know, and then introductions, and it's just kind of like that. And then when we go up that dance floor, it's just going to be, we're good.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's similar too on
Absolutely.
your guys' end.
Yes. Very, very similar.
For couples that are looking to make their event go smoothly, any ideas, any advice, kind of insider?
I always tell couples, you book your vendors because you trust them. So listen to them. Don't try to overplan, essentially, and just kind of know that there is going to always be a hiccup here and there. It's okay. At the end of the day, you're still absolutely going to be married. And I think just kind of setting your trust in vendors who are quality will help make you have a more successful day. Because that really is the ticket. You can make your wedding venue and your tables look beautiful, but if you don't have a team of vendors that can work together and are professional and are really good at what they do in their own realm, your wedding's kind of it's not going to be the best.
It's not going to go the way you think.
It's not.
And then you're spending the entire day taking on that stress that shouldn't be on you.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as often with where we're at because we are day of coordinators, so we're taking care of a lot of those logistical standpoint things. But like I have been in weddings, I have been to weddings at other venues, and have watched my friends set up their own weddings, or like I'm setting up a wedding for them, or basically becoming their day of coordinator because they don't have that person in play. So like if you are booked at a venue that doesn't supply someone like myself, get somebody like that, because you don't want to deal with that stress. I think that is a huge factor in why we don't see a lot of stressed out brides day of. They're stressed, but they're not like
melting down.
Yeah.
Where it ruins the day.
Absolutely.
And you're taking that stress off them, and you're doing that using your professional experience and your knowledge. People are throwing questions at you left and right. People throw questions at us, and we're just the DJs, you know?
Left and right.
But it's like, we need an extension cable. Do you have tape? Do you have safety pins? Do you have, they somehow forgot every little thing they needed for the wedding, and you've got to figure it out and know who to ask or what to do or how to guide them through that.
The only thing
calmly.
The only thing that I don't do is corsages, the boutonnieres. I run away when they're like, "Can you pin this on?" And I'm like, "No, I actually can't. That's not my forte. It never has been."
Mike was one of my groomsmen. Everyone had theirs like pinned differently,
It
or
just
like
falls over. There's always.
And then I think my wife Sarah came up to me and she's like, and then she did it in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
She's like, it's like that. I'm
Chris,
like, okay.
Chris from Sugarfield did our flowers for our Saturday wedding, and she had magnetic boutonnieres. And I was
that's a good
like,
idea.
everyone needs these. Everyone needs these.
That is genius.
I'm like, I could do that all day long.
Because it's always the angle of the pin, and then you know gravity, and it's going to move. And it's always,
then you hug someone, and it messes up. And
that's a really good idea.
yeah.
What are some of the wild or crazy things that you've kind of experienced in just working weddings? You don't, of course, don't name names or anything.
Absolutely not.
This lawsuit's pending.
I had a groomsman headbutt our groom at the end of the night one night, and there was blood everywhere. And then there were keys thrown in the snow that day. And it was very wild, and I just wanted to go home.
Was it like intent to harm, or was
It
like
wasn't. They were having some sort of disagreement at the end of the wedding. I don't even know what it was. I just so happened it was in our LaPorte location. It was way before we had Chesterton. And I walked into our front lounge where like the photo booths and stuff were always set up. And there was just blood all over his very crisp white shirt. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And he's like, he just headbutted me. And I was like, where's our security guard?
I don't know how I'd react if I got headbutted. No one's ever headbutted me, nor have I seen someone headbutt somebody.
I didn't see it. But like, I mean, obviously alcohol involved,
right.
End of night,
Man.
I mean, you just see people just being so silly at the end of the night because they've been drinking. And so I think that, I definitely have some wild stories. I had a groomsman almost jump into our lake one wedding.
Oh, no.
So we had to make sure that he didn't do that. And then just wild, like, silly things, lots of groomsmen trying to break into our bar.
Yes.
They're always
the groomsman, man.
And he always has a man bun for some odd reason. Like, we'll be like at rehearsal, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, red flag.
That's my guy.
Problem. He's gonna be the one I need to keep an eye out on. And sure enough, it always is the one we point out.
The man bun is the thief.
And I'm like, why? He's like, I was thirsty. And I'm like, that doesn't mean that you go behind my bar. Would you do that at a restaurant? And they're like, no. Okay, well, why would you do that here?
People act like it's a wedding, so therefore the rules of law don't apply.
Yeah.
So that's some kind of the wilder stuff. What are some of the sweet, like memorable things that you've...
Okay, so actually, I think you DJ'd this wedding. Do you remember, I can't remember his first name, but her name was Sarah, and they had the Spartan mascot.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I loved her.
Sarah,
Like,
I know their last, Sarah.
Yeah. And I did their first tour, and she had this really beautiful nail polish color on, and I was like, oh, I love your nail polish. Like, I always try to, like, connect with them in some way, but I really did love her nail polish. And on her wedding day, like, literally over a year later, she hands me a thank you note and that nail polish color.
What?
And I was like, wow.
That is so
Wow.
detailed.
I mean, just things like that, those personalized, like, gifts, thank yous. I had a bride, one of my absolute favorite brides ever. She will always live in my heart. I made her dad cry during their first tour, like talking about like walking her down the aisle. She handed me this handwritten like middle school thank you note right before I walked her down the aisle. And I was just like tears, like crying. And I'm like, God, I love my job so much sometimes. So I think that's usually like just little things like that. Them like really appreciating what you do for them, and them thinking about you as a person and not just
a number. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did that personal. And that one was a rager.
was
They were
so
like
much
crazy in
fun.
love, and they wanted to party hard, and they
partied
did.
so hard. I think they had the mascot, that was probably one of the best mascots because we went through a season where we did a lot of mascot pop-ups during reception.
Yeah.
And they'd always like
I mean, all of them were there.
Oh my gosh. And they'd always be late. It's always some college kid, like just discombobulated. We're trying to get them up the stairs.
You sneak them in, yeah.
Yeah. And he was, or she, I can't
The
remember.
groom doesn't know. You know,
the
nobody
groom,
knows.
No one knows. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he popped out and like, I think you played like Thunderstruck and this party went crazy. I mean, still to this day, probably one of the best weddings we had in LaPorte.
Yeah, they went nuts. We
Yeah.
got pictures. I think it was with Kyle on that one. It was a good one.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
They went wild. And I ran into them years later. I was at a bachelor party in Grand Rapids, and it was just at a bar.
Because they were from Michigan.
And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah. It was a good time.
yeah.
Such a cool
so
couple.
much fun.
Couples are looking to book a venue.
Yeah.
Things that you should, like, this is what you want, this is what you want to avoid. Advice for people looking to book a venue.
My number one thing, if I could write a book, it would be called Don't Pick Your Date Before You Book Your Venue.
Oh.
I have so many couples that are like, we are getting married on this date. And I'm like, but are you? Are you? Because that's it's August. We're getting ready to embark on the two most busiest months of wedding season, which is September and October.
Yes. Not everybody knows that.
No, apparently not.
They show up now. Oh, we'd like to book this September.
I'm like, my heart
A month from now.
just drops every time I do a tour. And they're like, we're looking for October of 2024. And I'm like,
Oh, next year. Yeah,
next year.
That's booked as well.
Yeah. And they're like, what do you mean you don't have any Saturdays? And I'm like, there are only 4. And we only do one a day. So that's 4 couples in this whole entire like Midwesty, Northwest Indiana, Illinois, Michigan area. So I think that's one thing, like, do not get stuck on a date before you really start doing venue shopping. I'm always like, pick a season. Don't even pick a month.
Yes.
Pick a season. You like fall? Okay, fall goes till December, technically. November is beautiful. So if you don't get October, November is perfect. And be open to Fridays, Sundays. I always say, and Chris, you got married on a Friday, right? Fridays get us freshest. You're the first wedding of the weekend. And so we've had all week to recoup. We typically don't do anything like throughout the week, event wise. And so like I would assume right now, I haven't been to the venue, but it's Tuesday. We're probably already set up for our Friday wedding.
Yeah.
And that bride has that huge peace of mind of like, everything's going to be done for my wedding early.
Right.
And you get the whole weekend then. Like, you're not super tired. If you leave on your honeymoon, on Monday, you have a couple days to recoup. And, I mean, you guys do Sunday weddings.
Yes.
We do a lot of Sunday weddings. Sometimes my Sundays are larger than my Saturday weddings. Yeah. Sometimes, and I can think of one off the top of my head right now, they're more wild than our Saturday and Friday weddings sometimes. Like, just because it's a Sunday,
they can definitely get crazy.
Yeah, people are always looking for a reason to take off from work.
But you're also getting, and I've been thinking about this, what's the best time, so like of season to get married, and at least around here, obviously if you're in the South or somewhere, the fall, it's a similar with the DJs. I love working a winter wedding. I love working a spring wedding. I'm a better DJ in the fall, because I have done 60 to 80 weddings leading up to that wedding.
Dialed in.
Everything's dialed in. Yeah. I know what the crowd's like this season. I know what the hit songs are. I know what you like. I am dialed in. I've probably been at that venue 4 or 5 times already that year.
You didn't have like that weird like 6-week break of like not having a wedding, and then like you go into like one wedding and you're like, wait, what are we doing?
It's you get muscle memory about the wedding. And like you said, on a Friday, you're more energized. You haven't. By Sunday, I've done some wild Sunday weddings and Monday, like a holiday weddings, you know. But I've been on my feet for 3 weddings previously, and we're talking 12 plus hours for all those days. I've been lifting equipment. I'm exhausted when it comes to Sunday. I am a different DJ on Sunday than I am on Friday. It's just true. I just have limitations. And so if you are wanting to save a buck, Sunday's a great way to do it, or a Friday wedding, or a different time during the week. Also in the off season.
Off season.
Yes, that's a great time to book a wedding.
So here's the thing, like I tell girls all the time, because everyone's so worried about weather. And I'm like, we live in Northwest Indiana, so you do not know what the weather, I mean, it was. Be worried. Yeah, you should always be worried. I mean, look at last week, it was 101 degrees, and then like by the weekend it was only 68. Like, I'm pretty sure our August brides this season did not anticipate having rainy 70-degree wedding days. I think that they thought that they were like in the safety zone. And I'm like, you know what? In February, no one's doing anything.
Yeah.
You're not vying for anybody else's, attention. People are looking for a reason to get out of their house. They've been cooped up. It's far enough away from the holidays. So I'm always like, that's a great time to get married, because you're going to have a great guest retention. Because I think that's one thing that like our September and October girls don't think about. If you're wanting September and October, guess what? There's going to be 6 other weddings that your friends are going to get invited to on that same day. And whose wedding are they going to pick? Are they going to pick yours? Or are they going to pick their friend that they've been friends with for 2 decades? So if you want guest retention, I think doing like more of an off season or an off day is better than just sticking with that like classic Saturday.
Yes. Yeah. But there's such an energy aspect to that, which I just find fascinating. But it's just, if you work in the industry, like, oh yeah, this is a popular date. We really can't give you a discount because we're gonna book it out.
Yeah.
But then there's like, yeah, it's a Tuesday in February. But like, yeah, whatever you need, let's make it happen.
Do it.
We would like to do that gig, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to continue to work. Like.
You work with a lot of wedding vendors. You work with all the wedding vendors. Every type of vendor.
Every vendor.
Any advice you have for them? Anything you wish that they knew about what you do, especially if they're new to the area or they're an up-and-coming DJ or other vendor listening to this? Like, hey, you want to work at the Allure, you want to work with a professional wedding venue, this is what you should probably look at and focus on, and this is what you should avoid.
I think that one thing that like a lot of our vendors that are in our community do a really good job is staying in their lane. I am not a DJ. You definitely don't want me baking your cake. And I would never tell you guys how to play music or, you guys should be doing this way. Or I would never tell Val from Val's Custom Cakes, like, I think you should not bake your cakes this way. I don't even know the proper terminology for cooking. So you definitely don't want me baking a cake. I would never tell her how to bake a cake or set up a cake. So like when you're a newer vendor and maybe you're used to going to venues that don't have coordinators, you become the coordinator. I'm sure you guys have had to do this before. I've had photographers tell me in the past, like, I've lined up bridal party for ceremony and dismissed them. And I'm like, but how are you taking photos? Like, how? So just kind of like working as a team. Like I think that's the biggest thing. Like there's plenty of business for everybody in Northwest Indiana. So it's, you guys have a really good relationship with several DJs, because it is, what do you guys always say? It's
collaboration over competition. There's an abundance kind of mindset
Absolutely.
to it all.
And so I think it's great. And just kind of, like, let's work as a team, not against each other on the wedding day. I've definitely worked with vendors where I'm like, are you trying to sabotage this wedding?
It does feel like thwarting you.
Yeah. And like, let me do what I'm trying to do. And then we're going to let you do what you do. Like, so I think that's the biggest thing. And we don't see that very often. There was a long time ago where I was seeing that a lot, where it made my job so much more stressful and harder because they were trying to like undermine what we do professionally, and just getting your name out there for vendors who are up and coming. We have a preferred vendor list, which we give out to all of our brides. But the way we do that is it's based on, hey, you've gotten into the venue on your own accord a couple times. We've worked with you. You're really good to our couples. You're really easy to work with on our end. Like, yeah, we'll put you on our vendor list all day long. That's how we do it. So I think building relationships with venues is really important for up and coming vendors, and just kind of making it flow the best.
Yeah, stay in your lane. I like that a lot. Just focus on what you were hired to do.
Yeah.
Everything else, just listen and work together, collaborate.
Yeah, like I'm not in the kitchen telling our chef, Jacob, how to cook. He does not need that. That's what he does. And he doesn't come out here and tell me how to run ceremonies. So we're working as a team together, but we're not against each other, essentially. So
I worked with a photographer a few weeks ago, and he was doing a friend's wedding. It was kind of a DIY, and they didn't hire a DJ. They didn't really have a venue. It was kind of like a backyard. And then they wanted the photographer to like do announcements to DJ. He's like, "Oh no, I'm a photographer. I don't do. You should probably hire somebody to do." "Oh no, we've got it." And then they didn't have it. They he's like, "Oh, are you sure?" Because we work every weekend and we see people do this, and you probably want to hire somebody to do that.
That's a little bit more professional. You don't want to have to be picking music on your iPhone.
Yeah.
What if your Bluetooth speaker goes out?
I mean, there's so many crazy scenarios that happen all the time because we see it happen.
Yeah.
And it happens to professionals too, but the professionals, we have a backup, we make it work. And
you know how to handle it. You're going to take care of it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's worth it. That's why you pay more for a professional experience, because this is a big day.
It is.
In your life. And
you're hopefully only doing it once.
Yes.
So.
But we'll take repeat customers. We love them. So if you want to come back, we'd love to have you.
We don't get that. Usually if they're doing it a second time, they're not getting married in the exact same venue that they
not with the
before.
exact same vendors or
Although I hear that they might use like the same florist or cake or
some of those. Yeah, we've had some of those with DJs.
Yeah, but definitely not the same venue. But that's okay. I get it. I wouldn't want to either.
There's like a memory associated with
Absolutely.
that, and you want a new memory with this.
Wear the same wedding dress.
I wouldn't, but
I would not.
It works the same. Why not?
It fits. It's fine.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anything else about, like, especially with DJs, because this is the DJ Center podcast. Yeah. Any pet peeves? Any things like, what are you doing? Headaches that you can avoid?
like just I don't see it often because we have, you guys are here and then we have a couple other
guys you work with.
Yeah, like Joe
Yeah.
is at our venue quite a bit. And so we don't see it very often, but like you're coming in, you're late, and then all of a sudden you need X, Y, and Z from me. And I'm like, I called you.
Yeah.
And you didn't call me back to let me know what you needed. So, and now it's 20 minutes till ceremony and you're freaking out. Didn't know it was outside either.
I don't have power. Yeah. That's the whole
Oh my gosh.
easy question.
And so I'm like, if I called you and emailed you, because I like to always get their email addresses too, so that way then I have like a backup. Like I can be like, here's everything I was going to talk to you about on the phone call that you didn't answer.
Yeah.
That way, I'm like, I've covered my own bases. But I think that's the biggest thing, where they come in and they kind of talk to you like, and I hate to use this, but I know that this is how people talk to servers because I've been a server, but they kind of talk to me like I'm a server, and I'm like, sir, ma'am, I am running the show here. So please don't talk to me like I'm a little peon. I am not your...
Here work with you, not for you.
Yeah, I don't work for you. I work for Troy.
And if there is a power, technically I'm in charge. You're in my house.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes vendors don't realize. They're trying to think that it's like their house. And it's like, well, first of all, like this is not even my day. It's my couple's day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do what they want to do. And second of all, like you have to be respectful of the fact that when we're within these four walls, like Renee and I are in charge.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And we really focused on what the couple wants.
Yeah.
And ensuring their day goes as smoothly as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of that with that ego of like, no, I know, just they get so tunnel focused on like, I need this, and you are there to help me. Like, no, we are there to work together.
Yeah.
You are in our house. What do you need?
Yeah.
But, there was an opportunity to discuss this, to plan ahead, to work through this.
I think my biggest pet peeve with DJs, though, just to be perfectly honest,
Yeah, hit me with it.
is how long it takes them to tear down at the end of the night. Like, we're all tired. And sometimes they take over an hour. And I'm like, what? Why?
Mike and I just did 6-7 minutes the other day.
Oh my
in the
God.
car. In the car.
Other
6 or 7
reason why
minutes.
we love you guys so much.
It's like such an important part to us. It's like I'm not getting paid extra to be there longer. I want to go.
Nobody
home.
is.
No one is.
I want to go
Nobody
home
is.
and sleep.
And it's been 16 to 20 hours for some people.
I'm already trying to get the couple out and their guests.
And
And
you're talking and hanging out.
like, go to your after party. Let us go home.
Yeah.
I've got high school kids sometimes closing with me. They got to get home. And I don't want to be waiting on a DJ. And it happens a lot.
Or any vendor,
Yeah.
who's taking a long time.
The photo booth, or like the decorator comes back and she's collecting, charger plates. And it's taking her 55 minutes to pack those up, and she still has to pack up everything else. And I'm like, you could have came back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, I would have rather you been here during the light hours than here at 1:30 in the morning. So I think that's personally my biggest pet peeve.
I mean, that's music to my ears because that's something that we really try to focus in on.
Yeah.
That DJs get so attached to their equipment and their setup, and some of them bring like power drills and cases and trussing, and it just takes hours and hours and hours to set up and tear down. So many cabling, so much tape, so much moving parts, and we try to keep it slim and clean and minimal, and it looks nice and it does the job, and then we get out of there.
Yeah,
They're
you
not
want to
paying us to stay late.
Most of us have an event the next day, so
Yeah.
we got to get some sleep in us, and we have families, and
100%.
we have a full-time job before we go to our real full-time jobs, so it's a lot.
Well, Natalie, this has been such a treat.
Thank you for
We
having me. It was fun.
We really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you back, of course.
Yeah,
Come back
absolutely.
and see us. And
Maybe, in the winter when we're recouping from our busiest season.
For people listening, anyone interested in having a beautiful, amazing wedding at the Allure on the lake, what's the best way they can reach out and learn more about what you guys do?
I would suggest them to have them email us at events@allure1.com, and that's EVENTS at ALLUREONE.com, and we'll schedule that tour for them. So that way then they can see our venue. We can go over pricing,
Answer their questions.
look at that calendar. We are definitely booking for 2024 right now and 2025. So if you are 2025 and you think you have time, come on in, because those girls are out there. They're getting dates. So
I love it. Well, thank you so much.
You're
This has
welcome.
been
Yeah.
the DJ Insider Podcast.
Awesome.
I'm Mike.
I'm Chris.
and I'm Natalie.
Guys, we will see you on the dance floor. Thanks.